Hi friends, my name's Michelle. I'm the owner of MocksByLittleFeather on Etsy and your POD bestie here on YouTube. And today I'm going to go over a very common question that I get, which is how do I place my designs on your mockups? The answer to that is that there's multiple ways. Today I'm going to share 3 options. Those 3 options are Canva, Photoshop, and Figma. Canva is great for beginners. Figma is a great middle ground and also great for bulk editing and exporting. And Photoshop is more expert level, and that's where you're going to get the most realistic looking mockups. And by that, I mean the design is going to move with the folds of the shirt, with the lighting. And if you've ever seen a design on a mockup that you knew was a mockup, but you're like, wow, this looks so real, then that's the option you're going to want to use to get that look. Don't worry too much if you can't do the expert level Photoshop option. The other 2 are perfectly fine and just as great for placing your designs on mockups. I'll also have the timestamps below if you want to jump to a specific section. Feel free to do that. So let's get into it. Okay, so here I am in Canva. Everything I'm showing you, you can do on the free version. So once you're in, you're going to hit create. And today I'm working with a landscape mockup. So I'm going to go to custom size 4x3. If I was working with a vertical oriented mockup, I would just do 3x4. So I'm going to click 4x3. And now I have my blank canvas. And what you're going to do is you're going to upload the mockup. I already have the mockup I'm going to use today uploaded, but you would just go to uploads, upload file, select the file, and it will then populate into here. So I'm going to use this Bay Comfort Colors 1717 mockup. And then you're also going to want to upload your design the same way that you uploaded the mockup. I've already done that as well. So I'm just going to pull in that design. It has a transparent background, but if yours doesn't, just hit background remover. And before I size too much, I am going to go to Printify. So I already have my design set up in Printify, which is what you're going to want to do before you place your design on the mockups to begin with, just so you can see where exactly the placement is going to be. In Printify, this is a pretty good representation to be able to see where the design lines up with this space on the t-shirt, because that's how you're going to want to dictate how big the design is on the mockup. Okay, I say the design is about right here, which feels about like a third in from this collar. So that's what I'm going to keep in mind when I'm placing my design on the Canva mockup. So right now we're about half in on each side. So that means I'm going to make this smaller on each side as well. This is a little better for me. I feel like that looks good. And then I'm going to go back and just see where it lies on the chest. For this one, I just kind of eyeball it. It looks about 1 to 2 inches below the neckline, which I feel looks pretty representative of this one here. So once you have everything sized and placed, I'm going to select the design and go to transparency. And here I'm going to take it down to about 83. Yeah, no, 84. And this is just going to let some of the texture come through, as well as take some of the vibrancy down, because the colors that you see on the computer versus what's printed, usually your colors are duller when it's printed and in person. So we want to do the same thing with our mock-up, so it's representative of what your customers will receive in person. So once the design's on there, I'll just go to share, download, and I like to make my pixel setting 3000 by 2250, and then download, and then I would download, and you'd be done, and you'd be able to upload to Etsy just fine. All right, next up, we're going to go into Photoshop and Photopea. I said just Photoshop in the beginning, but I'm going to go over Photopea, which is a free version of Photoshop, and then I will also go over Photoshop. Like I said, I have the timestamps below, so if you just want to jump to Photoshop, you can do that. Okay, so you're going to want to go to photopea.com, And from there, you will click open from computer. All right, so I opened from computer and I chose my photo and it opened up here in Photopea. Now, the next thing you're gonna do is go to File, Open in Place, and then you're gonna select your design and hit open. Then you're gonna resize that design using those same methods that I showed you in Canva on how to line it up with the spacing on the side of the shoulders and the collar. Okay, so we have our design. It's tilted. It's about the same distance from the collar as in Printify. Next, we're gonna duplicate the background. So we will just right click, duplicate layer. We will then take this copy and drag it above the design file. Then we will come right here where it says normal, and we're going to switch that to hard light. Then we're going to right click on background copy and hit clipping mask. Now that effect only applies to the design, and here you can see that you can really see the texture coming through, which is what we want. We can also see how the color changes in the shadows versus the highlights. Now, our design before this was this like off-white, kind of like gray color, not this brown that's blending into the shirt. So we need to fix that. To do that, we are going to go to Image, Adjustments. For color, we'll do Hue and Saturation. I'm going to take the saturation down, and already it is looking like the color of the design before we applied that hard light clipping mask. I might also mess around with some of the lighting. If you see here, if you take this up too much, it's just going to basically take away that effect. So this is just a really subtle adjustment. I'm going to go up about 6. I just like how it brings the shadows up just slightly, but still keeps the difference in color from the shadows and the highlights. This is what gives you like that realistic look. So for me, I think this looks great. So I'm gonna hit OK, File, Save. Now this will, if you are using Photopea and you save, it will save on top of that file. So that blank mockup that I had will now have this design on it. So make sure to make a copy of the mockup first because it will overwrite the blank mockup. So I'm just going to save. Okay, so now I'm in Photoshop and we're going to work with a different design that is going to go over this fold here. And I'll show you how to warp and make that look more realistic. Okay, so next you'll import your design. You'll just go to File, Open, you'll select the image, and then it will open in a new tab. And it's already selected for us. So I'm going to hit Control-C and then Control-V. And it's going to add this to a new layer. So I'm going to rotate. Okay, so we've rotated our design to match up with the tilt of the mockup. Here you can see that it does go over this fold here. Let's see. I'm gonna move it a little bit more. There we go. And then I'll hit Enter. Next, I'm going to, again, duplicate the background, drag it above the layer 1, which is the design. Come here to Normal, select Hard Light, and then I'm going to create Clipping Mask. And then I am going to add Hue and Saturation. So if you come down here, this is where all your edits, like ways you can edit the image are. So I'll go Hue, Saturation. And then I will also click Create Clipping Mask. You'll want to right click on the text here. to do that. Then I have my options here, but if they don't show up here, you can double click on this and that would show up. Let's see. There you go. So you would just click on that. I'm going to take a saturation down. We'll mess with light with curves, but okay, so we'll do a little bit of saturation right now. Let's go to curves so that we can take down the brightness. Just clipping mask again. There we go. That's looking pretty good to me. I am going to. I like that right there. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to hue and saturation. And I'm gonna take that all the way down. Just adjust the light a little bit, maybe like up 3. Okay. So now that our image, and you can see here, look at the texture coming through. I think that looks really great. And then you have the highlight here coming from just the natural highs and lows of this image, because there is a slight like curve here. And then this is dark too because it's behind this fold. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the design. We are going to go to Edit, Transform, and Warp. I am going to previews. Just take some manipulating. Okay. Now the text over here is looking a little bit big, so we could either bring this down because we scrunched it up. And also bring that up. Okay. And then we'll do that to start. And then we're going to go to Filter and Liquify. Okay. And then we're going to want to see the background. So we're going to click Show Backdrop. And we'll raise the opacity so we can see it. And then to zoom in on here, you have to do it this way. To 200%. Okay. Okay, so we turned on Show Backdrop, but we want to then go to select background. Otherwise, we're going to see like the old placement of the design, and we don't want that. So here, we're just going to pull the letters in a little because it's scrunching here. It's just ever so slight, like a slight pull. And the B doesn't have us, like those edges are coming out a bit, so I move them in. Okay. I feel like that's good enough. You have some bend here. The bend isn't super big, so you don't want to do it too much. All right, so I'm gonna hit OK. And now it's just pulled in a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Once you've done the liquefy and you know, I'd make any adjustments to where there's some folds, you're pretty much done. You can feel free to alter the like liquefy other things or warp, whatever you feel works for your design. Every design is going to be different, but those are the general tools that you can use to warp to the folds and the creases. Now that it's all done, we're going to save the image. You're going to go to export, and I just do quick export as PNG. Save. We'll rename it so we don't overwrite the image. So girls
Serial mockup. Save. Okay, great. Now that we've covered both a easy option for placing mockups and a more expert level for placing mockups, I want to give you this middle ground option using Figma. The website address for this is just figma.com. It's also free, so that's great. The thing I love about Figma is that you can bulk edit and bulk export, and you can compile your favorite mockups, whatever mockups you want to use for a specific design, and they can be different crop sizes. And by that, I mean they can be landscape orientation, portrait orientation, square, and you don't have to create a new, let's say, for example, Canva, you don't have to create a new canvas to match the size of that mockup. Figma works with artboards, so I'll show you right here. I have my selection of mockups and my designs. I put some on these two already. If I zoom out, you can see I have other mockups that I just have sitting waiting to be used that I like to use. But these are the ones that I'm going to focus on for this example. So as you can see, I have landscape-oriented mockups and a vertical one here, all within the same file. The first thing I want to show you is just how quick it is to copy and paste a design onto different mockups. So I just click on the design. This separates, so had I brought in the file to begin with, it was probably bigger. I put it on the file and I size it just like I would in Canva or Photoshop. And then I also am going to take down the opacity to about 84, which is what I did on the other ones. I'm going to click that and I'm going to Control C or Command C on Mac. So I'm going to Control V to paste. I'm going to drag that over and resize it to this mockup. It kept the opacity for us, which is great. And then same thing, you would just go through all of these. Don't worry about the design falling off just yet. I will show you how to fix that. But it's as simple as that. And then to rotate, you highlight or you move your mouse to the corner here and you'll get that arrow. So that arrow that's kind of curved, that means it's going to rotate if you click and move the mouse. So we're going to line that up with the way that the mockup is a little slanted. Okay, great. Let's say you didn't need to make any edits to the design file that's going off and going over the shoes. What you would do is you would click above the mockup and drag it over to select what's in that specific photo. You would hit Command or Control G to group it, and you're going to do that for every design. And then you would select all of those files, export 6 layers. So that's very similar to Canva. I feel like it goes very quickly. This is what I use to put my logo on my mockups before I list them to my shop. And that's the bulk edit, bulk export aspect of Figma that I love. Again, I didn't have to create a new canvas size for this. I can see everything all together in one spot. And then there's a bonus tool in Figma that I also love, specifically for these two mockups. This one, we won't use the special tool, but I'll show you what I do for, so I'm going to ungroup this, which is just Command or Control Delete. So I'll click on the design, and you can use the crop feature by going to Fill, clicking on the image here, Fill again, crop. And for this, I'm simply just gonna bring it to the edge of the shirt. And now we'll crop it a little bit more. Up right there. And now that looks pretty good. Over here is where I'm going to use that special technique that I was talking about. So I will ungroup this. I am going to select this design, which I'm going to rename so it's easy to see where these layers are going to go. So the mockup I'm using is example mockup, and then the design on top is named design. And what I'm going to do is this bar down here, I'm going to select this pen tool, and I am going to zoom in and start making this selection along the shoe. And the area here is what we want to go away. So what I'm going to select is what I want to keep. So I'm selecting everything around the shoe. If you have that issue going on that I just had there, you can hit Control, and then you'll be able to put the line wherever you want to instead of it like pre-selecting it for you. So you'll just take this pen tool, and I'm going to go to the edge of the shirt because I want to keep everything that's on the shirt. And then once you get away from like this edge here, whatever you select up here doesn't really matter because you're going to keep all of that. So to speed things up, I just zoom out and select all of that. Now I'm going to meet the two ends together by just clicking. And now there's no more line coming from the pen tool. So we are ready to move to the next step, which is selecting this paint bucket tool. You're going to click that, and you're going to hover over the selection of the design part that you want to keep. You're going to click to fill it and then hit enter, and you'll have this gray selection, okay? This part of the design is stuff that's going to disappear when we create a clipping mask. So we have vector and design, and what we're going to do is select, so you're going to click vector and then command or control and click design, right click, use as mask. So now when we zoom in, you can see it removed everything that was over the shoe and everything that was beyond the shirt. And then to export this, we're just going to do the selection of everything and hit Command G to group it, or Control G. And then we'll export. You do need to remember to group each individual photo like I just did before you export, because otherwise when you select everything and export them like this one isn't grouped, it's gonna export the photo, the mockup, and the design separate. So we want them to be one image, so we will group them. And now that everything has a design on it, we're going to select it all and then hit export. And then it would download a zip file to your computer. For example, here is one of the finished mockups. So again, it's very similar to Canva, but it gives you that extra tool to cut part of the design out of areas that it shouldn't be covering, like the shoes in this mockup here. And it also is faster, in my opinion, with the ability to bulk edit and bulk export and have different crop ratios of your mockups.
So there you go. Those are 3 options to place your designs on mockups. Whichever option you choose is up to you. It's just whatever you feel is best for your skill level. Just make sure you follow the recommendations of placement and transparency, and you'll be just fine. If you found this video helpful, I would love it if you would subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to hear what you found the most helpful. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. Can't wait to share another video with you guys. Until next time.